There you go. Alright. Hey. Oh, dang! Wow, this whole time you guys couldn't even see what I was doing. Oh well. I was working on a thumbnail. I know it was quiet, but what's it called? Is anybody watching? No, that's fine then. That's perfect then. That's perfect then. Actually, yeah. Alrighty, let's continue. Alrighty, let me see if the stream's actually working. Hey, I was working. Alrighty, let's continue. Alright, I gotta do something about this. Hold on. It's mad loud. Like legit, it's actually so loud. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how loud it was. Alright, I gotta do something about this. Hold on. Why isn't the audio capturing on the OBS stream? My name is David. I like my car. Alright, let me see if I can, what's it called? Oh, I gotta open my window. Hold on. Okay, Soujyuro. Yeah, no game audio. What is going on? Yeah, no, still no game audio there either. Alrighty, how about what if I do this? Yep. Oh, I think I know what it is. Alright, let me fix these properties. Yep. Alrighty, it's gonna take a second, but let me look this up. Are we really serious? Are we really serious? We need to add this now too. Oh wait, is it a? There you go. Finally. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious, yo. All right. The stream is up and running now. It's good. It's all set.
総十郎の疑問だけどね。魔術師もいろいろあって、教会に属していない連中もいるの。こういった連中は教会の目を盗んでやりたい放題で、利益目的で他の魔術師に喧嘩を売ってくる。あの人形の持ち主もその類。そんな連中にとって、私たちは都合のいい格好のカモなのよ。私たちは教会と協定関係にあるだけで門下ってわけじゃないから。私たちが殺されたところで教会は助けてくれないしね。
でも魔術師が魔術を使うのは禁じてるんだろ。
それが公にならないのなら教会は目をつむるわ。むしろバレなければ魔術師同士の争いを奨励してるぐらいよ。技術も使わないと錆びるってね。ま、私たちが襲われてるのはそれとは別の話で、単に土地を持ってるからなんだけど。
土地ってこの家？
まさか。この三崎市一帯の管理地の権利を持ってるのよ、私とアリスは。
管理地ってつまり土地の利権。
Dazzled Soujyuro looked away. He was sure you could see a halo of light around Alco. He'd only been renting an apartment for 2 weeks, but he was already aware of how magnificent the prospect of owning land in the city might be.
Oh.
The word Soujyuro was trying to articulate was rich. He shook all over with the emotion he did not fully grasp.
悪いけど、そういうんじゃないから。私たちで土地って言ったら、魔術師としての霊地の所有権、支配権のことを言うの。うちはマイナーだけど、古くからこの辺りに根を下ろしてた魔術師で、三崎町もうちの管理下ってわけ。管理地っていうのはね、霊的な力が歪んで集まりやすい土地のこと。 そういう土地は昔から貴重で、魔術の実践、実験には不可欠でもある。成功への絶対条件は優れた霊地、堅固な工房、多くの弟子たちってね。魔術師たちにとって土地付き館付きの住み家を持つのは一つの野望なんだから。
Soujyuro let her continue while wondering exactly who these two girls were to have achieved both ambitions already.
でもその管理地は大部分が教会に仕切られてて、もう余っている土地はないの。はぐれ魔術師や土地のない魔術師は教会に毎月寄付金を納めて土地を借りるしかない。ま、手よく教会のお偉いさんたちに尽くす働き蜂ってところね。でもここの土地は何百年も前から青崎のものだから、教会とは関係がないの。ここまで言えばわかるでしょ。そういったフリーの連中からすれば、私たちの管理地はこの上ないごちそうなんだって。
Soujyuro nodded to himself, unsure whether to call the conversation mundane or outright disturbing.
よくわかった。青崎たちは土地の奪い合いをしているんだな。
そういうこと。ただ岬の管理地はマイナーのさらにマイナーだから、やってくる挑戦者も三流ばっかりよ。今回の敵だってどっかの三流魔術師がここなら楽に奪えると思ってやってきたんだろうし、ま、それもあんたの乱入で休戦してるんだけど。
管理地の話はそれで十分よ、青子。しずきくんも他に魔術師がいると分かってくれたようだし、危険があるとすれば私たちの戦いに彼が巻き込まれる可能性だけど。
それは大丈夫でしょ。だってこいつ魔力のかけらもないじゃない。魔力感知には引っかからないし、番犬以下の人間は戦力って言わないから狙われることもないだろうし、私たちはただ忘却のルーンを見つけるまでこいつを逃がさなければいいだけでしょ。
Alice silently stared her partner down. Their ideas of involving Soujyuro differed greatly in both gravity and risk. Ako's lack of experience had led her to believe that Soujyuro would not get directly involved in any fighting. It was an honest and rational thought. Ako despised wasted action, so it was natural for her to expect the same frugality from her enemies. However, there are those in this world who could not tell right from wrong until it was too late.
先のことは誰にもわからないから、その時になって後悔がなければいいけれど。
With a gloomy sigh, Alice came to her feet.
ちょっと何のために長話したと思ってるのよ。一番重要なあんたの意見聞いてないんですけど。
あなたがあなたの方針を守るというのならそれでいいわ。私も好きにするだけよ。
Alice glided soundlessly to the door. As the girl in black opened it, she paused, barely lit by the dim corridor. Then, without warning, to the rhythm of her footsteps, the small glass bottle floated into the air and shattered without mercy.
あの時こうしておけばよかった。
Her sharp tone made Soujyuro's face go pale. Alice's voice was so quiet, it was hard to tell if she was being serious or mocking him.
私も言い忘れていたけど。
She icily eyed them before turning away, and in a voice even colder than her gaze stated,
まだ認めていないから。
Her frigid departure seemed to forebode the many difficulties that lay ahead.
たく往生際が悪い。
Ako leaned back on the sofa while hurling abusive epithets. Well, dang, shoot, I guess I lost the like. Her face looked even more irritated than
見
usual.
逃すのとここに住まわせるのは別問題よって。じゃあそれ以外にどんな方法があるってのよ。譲る気もなさそうだし、この分じゃ実力行使に出るかもね、あの子。
Soujyuro threw a worried glance at Alka while she grumbled. He wondered what Alice's show of defiance meant, shattering the glass bottle like she did.
宗十郎には記憶をなくしてもらうってことで話はつけたけど、心の底から納得してないってことでしょ。アリスにしちゃ珍しく他人を意識してたけど、やっぱりここに住まわせるとなると難しいみたい。寝てる分には良かったけど、起きてるあんたを見たらこうえも言わぬ刺激心を刺激されたとかさ。気をつけてね、宗十郎。あの子あんたを殺しに来るかもしれないから。
If anything, Alka's warning was an indication that persuading Alice had hit a dead end.
なんか状況はあの夜からあまり変わってないようだね、青崎。
She shot him a concerned look in reply.
そうじゃないぞ。青崎の次はあの子がやる気満々じゃないか。さっきみたいな目にあったら逃げることもできない。こういうの生殺しって言うんじゃないか。
そうならないように努力するのね。ま、アリスの理由は遊園地の時ほど切迫したものじゃないから、そのうち諦めてくれるとは思うんだけど。
青崎の時とは違うアリスの理由？
ええ、遊園地の時は秘密厳守のためだったけど、それは一応解決してる。あんたが底抜けに律儀なやつだってのはアリスだってもうわ。なんで秘密厳守うんぬんであそこまで反対する理由はないの。あの子は単にね、ここに住んでほしくないだけなのよ。それだけでアリスはあんたを殺したがってる。
Give me 1 second, please. Oh man, alrighty. Oh man, alrighty, my bad. I just had to see something that I really wanted to see. Oh man, that's so funny. Alrighty, this stream is a little incoherent right now, but we're gonna try and make it work. She said so matter-of-factly, her eyes cold and serious. Soujyuro hoped for a trace of deceit or exaggeration, but alas.
確かにあの子はそんな素振りだったけど変だね。それならもっと他の手段を取ればいいのに。
Perhaps feeling guilty about pulling Alice out, Soujyuro looked uncharacteristically concerned. Aoko immediately knew what his words really meant.
例えば記憶を消す魔術が見つかるまでさっきの小瓶の中に閉じ込めておくとか。
The apathy in her voice until now was gone. Soujyuro answered with a simple nod. In truth, it was undoubtedly the easiest solution for all parties concerned. However,
宗十郎、私約束は破らないの。覚えておいて。
it's so funny that she's calling him Soujyuro now. She hated taking the easy way out, and that quiet fury was clear in her soft words. As to where that fury was directed, Soujyuro was acutely aware. The pain in his chest made him regret making her say those words.
すまない。考えが足りなかった。
His sudden apology caused her usual sullen expression to return. Aoko had not appreciated how angry she was, let alone the reason for it. To her, his apology came out of nowhere.
あんたって本当わかんないわね。なんでそこで謝るのよ。
He stared at Soujyuro, unblinking.
あれそうだな。自分でもよくわからない。多分そういう気分になったからだろう。
Even in saying he was not sure, he was not sure.
ただ、
Oh, okay,
青
cool.
崎の言いたいことは分かった。
Even in saying he was not sure, Soujyuro had answered honestly. Aoko was at a loss for words.
ただ、青崎の言いたいことは分かった。約束を守るっていうことは、結果じゃなく家庭を守るってことなんだな。
He shot her a brazenly honest smile. That smiling face filled with blissful ignorance almost made her smile back instinctively.
当たり前じゃない。オチだけ合ってればいいなんて恥ずかしくてできないでしょ。
Aoko attempted to cover her face, her embarrassment with a quick retort. Though unintentionally, having her true feelings exposed like that made Aoko a little uncomfortable. Finding offense is something was second nature to Aoko. Being made to feel uncomfortable is not. Though far from being unhappy at the remark, she turned away from its speaker. To disguise her perceived shame, Aoko started up the conversation again.
あなたを見逃すって言うなら気持ちの問題じゃなくてちゃんと状況もそうなるようにするのは当たり前なの。宗十郎をここに住まわせることがあの約束を守ることになるんなら 厄介なアリスだって言い伏せるわよ。脅かすだけならまだしも、ずっと瓶漬けなんてさせられるわけないでしょ。
そっか。青崎があの子を説得しない素振りなのは、もうできるだけの説得をした後だからなのか。あ、それで彼女とは冷戦中なんだ。
別にあんたのためじゃないわ。私は私のために約束を守ってるだけだし。お察しの通り、私のやるべきことはもう終わってるし、あとはそっちが努力する番だから勝手にすれば。
Huh? He replied, tilting his head.
あのね、いい？同居案を何とか認めさせることができるのは私だけだから、2日間ぶっ通しでアリスを言い伏せもした。けどそれ以上は無理。私、ここから先はノータッチだから。しばらくはアリスから守ってあげるけど、その間にあの子にあんたを認めさせることはあんたにしかできないんだからね、宗十郎。
なんと。
Soujyuro had not expected that at all. Alice Kuonji, the girl in black who kept everyone at arm's length. If Alka was a modern-day mage in hiding, then Alice was a bona fide witch from the Middle Ages.
青崎、君、自分がどれだけ難しいことを言ってるか分かってるか？
そうね。私もこの件に関してだけは同情するわ。
Hako stood up from the sofa. This is the end of the discussion, at least for now.
私たちがどんな人間かはおおよそ分かったでしょ。魔術に関してはこれ以上立ち入らない方があんたのためだから、説明はここまでね。で、肝心の今後の方針だけど、3ヶ月間ここで暮らす。当初の目標というより最初の試練は、なんとかアリスに同居人として認めてもらうこと。
試練って言った。今そういう類のことを言った。
ごまかしてもいいことないでしょ、この手のことは。うまくいかなきゃ粉々なわけだし。
With a cold-blooded remark, Alko started walking toward the door.
あ、そうそう。宗十郎の部屋だけど、3階に用意しといたから。2階のホールの裏側に階段があるから使って。ここは寮ってわけでもないし、時間は自由に使いなさい。ただし、西館にだけは入らないようにね。東館は私が借りてるから比較的安全だけど、それでも歩き回らない方が無難だわ。ま、基本安全なのはあんたの部屋とここだけよ。
中の説明ってまさかそれだけ？青崎はいろいろおかしい。魔術なんかよりもっと大事な説明があると思う。
He desperately called out to her as she began to leave the drawing room. Alko could not help but pity Soujyuro.
せめてほら、案内とか。
面倒なんでパス。おのぼりさんを案内するなんて2回もやれば十分よ。起きたばっかりだし、とりあえず今日は部屋で休んだら。朝になったら学校まで案内してあげるから。もっとも、私もそう暇じゃなし。そばについてあげられるのは期末試験が終わるまでってことで、1週間以内にアリスと仲良くなるなり弱みを握るなりしないと、まああれよね。
Barely a wave of goodbye, the student council tyrant walked out. She really is evil, huh? He unconsciously clenched a hand he raised. Left all alone, he was at a complete loss. And as if to encourage him, oh, it did the chirping for me. With the sound of light fluttering wings, a blue robin appeared out of nowhere. A tiny chubby bird innocently looked Soujyuro up and down. The blue robin, a bird said to bring happiness according to folklore, flapped its little wings as if to cheer him on. Then, with a flutter, it mercilessly flicked off the lights. Poor Soujyuro. Poor Soujyuro. Leaving Soujyuro alone in the drawing room, Alko returned to her bedroom. She closed the door to her room, and as soon as she sat on her bed, she was overcome by an unexpected wave of exhaustion. Soujyuro had no way of knowing, but she had been preparing for war. In the event that Alice impulsively pulled out a ploy, Aoka had to be ready to react in an instant. She sighed heavily. But after the fatigue she fought at fighting with Alice.
ちょっと突っぱねすぎたか？
She frowned a dejected frown. What weighed on Aoko's mind was not Alice.
でも甘くするのはあいつのためにならないし。基本おとなしくしてもらった方がいいわけだし。
It would be trouble if he wandered around like he owned the place, after all. Safest thing for him would be if he holed up in his room, too scared out of his wits to leave it.
青崎は味方だなんて勘違いされても困るしね。アリス同様、人手なし扱いされた方が楽だわ。
She nodded to herself, agreeing with her take on the situation. For the most part, it sounded like a plan. If there was a problem, it would be this.
すまない青崎、一つ聞きたいことがあるんだが。
Not 10 minutes had passed since leaving him in the drawing room. Miss Soujyuro to shirk off what she had said and visit her room so fast. It was like he had no sense of danger at all.
実は外に出たいんだ。
Of course, you were asked to leave the house. Akko liked the energy for a sarcastic barb.
洋館の中は歩き回らないし、用を済ませたらきちんと戻ってくる。ただ、門限とかあったら聞いておこうと思って。
でも、アルバイトには行くのよね。
How did you know? Soujyuro exclaimed in surprise. When it was Akko who desired to display her shock at him.
まあいいわ。基本、午後10時まで。その時間には必ず屋敷にいること。その後は夜勤に出かけるなり、庭でバーベキューするなり、何でも好きにしていい。それと、玄関に鍵はかかってないから。
気のせいじゃなければだけど、青崎、すごく怒ってないか？
あんた相手に気を使った自分に呆れ果ててるだけよ。外に出るのはいいけど、その前にこの錠剤飲んで。
Soujyuro took the purple pill from her outstretched hand and dubiously put it in his mouth. He told himself that it must have been some kind of medicine.
それじゃあ行ってくる。いろいろありがとう、青崎。
あっそ。今度は窓から出ていかないでよね。
Soujyuro laughed himself all the way to the foyer, unsure what exactly he had found funny. Akko watched him go, both indifferent and amazed all at once.
予定が半日早まっただけか。あの薬を飲ませるの明日の朝にしてあげようと思ったのに。
She huffed, ruffling her hair in exasperation and returning to her room. To say anyone made Soujyuro tick was a waste of brain matter. In all likeliness, he was more concerned about missing 2 days of work than his own well-being after being bedridden for 2 days. You gotta get money, bro. You gotta get money. The bills won't pay themselves. Let me see. I hope you find yourself. I hope you find yourself. I hope you take your mask off. Well, that was not what I was expecting, not gonna lie. Alrighty. With a day's work behind him, Soujyuro returned to the mansion.
よし。どこを探しても、2階のホールから上がれる階段はここだけだ。
It was just before midnight. This is the scene that awaited him. behind the rickety staircase. Not much surprised Soujyuro, or rather, being surprised had become normal to him. The scene, however, was enough to leave him speechless. The room allotted to Soujyuro. Yep, that's an attic, alright. No matter how he looked at it, no matter how he ran it through his mind, was without a shadow of a doubt an attic. His treatment stirred a tinge of anxiety in him. Just as he was about to flop on the taut sheets of his bed, wondering if he could make this work despite his share of other problems. He noticed an awkward courtesy, so meager as to be useless. That's sweet. The message in the memo pointed to the meticulous personality of the author. The bed had been perfectly prepared. Carefully setting aside the blanket that had been painstakingly placed on the edge of the bed for him in case he needed it, he looked up at the sky. Though faint, the stars twinkled throughout the skylight. For a mountain boy, that meager light was more than enough for him. The stark contrast with the drawing room caught him off guard. But now that he had collected himself, it was not so bad. His room fit his personality. Even if he was still not used to the building, he felt more at ease here than he did in the building in the city. Perhaps because it was built on a hill surrounded by woods. The atmosphere here was a little closer to the mountains where he used to live.
でも、家の中に霧が出るのはどうなんだろう。
He crooked his neck, pondering over the spectacle he had witnessed. On the way to the room, Soujyuro had encountered what looked like fog in the foyer on the second floor. The mystic fog drifted into a portion of the corridor, reminding him of a swarm of mosquitoes. As he stared at it, he swore he could make out a strange landscape, and as he moved closer to get a better look, again out of nowhere, here inside of the mansion, a little blue bird darted purposely in front of him.
Tori?
The bird caught his attention, stopping him in his tracks. When he looked to check the fog again, the strange scene had disappeared.
この家、隙間でもあるのかな。明日青崎に聞いてみるか。
He muttered to himself as he sat on the bed. Meager as it was, the starlight peeping into the skylight calmed him.
これなら。
Exhaling slowly, he laid down. For the time being, he had the essentials needed to live, and his bed was many times softer than it appeared. On top of that, it's an actual bed. It's not just like, what's it called? A pillow and a blanket on the floor. Thinking his worries seems... Oh, I thought this was something else. Seemed smaller than they were, he quickly drifted off to sleep. That was the story of from when he opened his eyes to when he fell asleep. Just like that, the short night following the long night was over. For one thing was true. Soujyuro was an optimist to a fault, but it wasn't the end of the world. Now let us rewind 5 hours prior to this glutton for punishment going to... Leave him alone, man. It's not his fault. It was 7 o'clock in the evening, just after the unproductive discussion between the two mages and the boy had ended. Leaving her roommate and the intruder in the drawing room, the girl walked alone to the foyer. From there, she headed to the to the west wing. These were Alice Koonji's personal chambers, in which even her roommate, Aoko Aozaki, seldom dared to step foot. The foyer was illuminated only by pale moonlight. Hard footsteps echoed through the dreary moonlit lobby. In such mansions in Japan, there was no custom for removing shoes at the door. Hence, Alice crossed the foyer in her boots. She only removed them when she relaxed in her bedroom. Suddenly, she remembered something from her childhood. She used to enjoy the feeling of cold hardwood floor on her bare feet, and would walk around the foyer on particularly sunny days. After her father affectionately scolded her for it, she never did it again.
そうだったわね。青子は結局守らなかった。
she let out a quiet sigh. Alice's new roommate, whom she took on after coming to Japan, would not comply with her instructions.
落ち着かないものはしょうがない。
That's a nice sweater, Alko would say, changing into her slippers. Alko might have found it natural to do so given that she lived in a typical Japanese house through middle school, but every time Alice heard her flip-flopping through the foyer, she wanted to cancel her cohabitation. By now, Alice was not particularly bothered by it anymore. Human adaptability was remarkable at times and ungracious at others. The emotional attachment of the past had proved far too brittle under the weight of reality. A little blue bird was perched on a banister. Its tiny chirping made Alice stop and look its way.
今夜は放っておくわ。今は青子の問題よ。
The lack of feeling in her voice made the bird tilt its head as it sang. Tweet, tweet, tweet. It trilled as though questioning its master's uncharacteristic leniency.
約束は約束よ。今夜ぐらいは多めに見ないと。青子と彼はそれだけの活躍をしたのだし。
She said to the bird, her voice betraying her discontent. If you win, I'll let you go. She would keep that promise in spite of the unquenchable desire to fight that burn to fight that burn in her chest.
でもその後の処遇は別の話。条件付きのゲームに勝ったぐらいでいつまでも得意げでいられるのは心外だわ。
Perhaps it was perfectionism born of fastidiousness, but despite her prim demeanor, Alice Koonji was a sore loser. It did not matter to her whose magecraft was superior. Losing the game had proven hard to move on from. Bro is geeking. The little bird fluttered its wings in agreement. Drinking in Alice's contempt, it was itching to dive bomb the invader. It was like a soldier saluting a superior officer as it preened itself. The blue bird turned to face his master. Tweet, 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 tweet. Its lighthearted tweeting seemed to display a desire to deal with Soujyuro first thing in the morning.
そうね。理由さえできたのなら、瓶なり本なりに入ってもらいましょう。
Except her words lacked any bite. On the face of it, they were the chilling kind one might come to expect from a witch's lips. But then again, so tame as to remind you of a certain robin's flapping.
しばらくの話よ。けど、それも一時だけ。私の我慢も長くは続かないし。だいたい、青子も人にかまけていられる立場じゃないわ。
Hold on.
だいたい、青子も人にかまけていられる立場じゃないわ。いつかもすれば思い知るでしょう。そうすれば。
When the time came, expelling him would be simple. Alice was well aware her roommate was a pragmatist with no vision. The situation she created would not allow her to wait around. She could only afford to protect the boy for 3 or 4 days at most. Beyond that, Alice sensed Alko would crack and say something like, "You take care of this, Alice."
それまで待つか。あるいは、私の我慢が効かなくなるか。どちらにしても、結果は変わらないわ。
Alice Koonji would suffer no more irritations, and protecting a witness, let alone allowing them to live in her mansion, was an indignity. Alice looked up, fascinated by a dense fog that had crawled into the foyer. Above the fireplace was a single mirror, roughly 3 feet in diameter. It decorated the wall where one might find a painting. Its surface was faintly clouded, and vaguely reflected the foyer's appearance.
スナークをなくした影響でしょうね。鏡の機能、しばらくは制御できないみたい。
The little bird joyfully chirped at its master's mumbling. The bird attempted to imply that there was no need for her to lift a finger, not if the nuisance would fall into the mirror of his own accord. Or perhaps, had the little bird had not sang, Alice would have come to the same conclusion. For some reason, she recalled an earlier conversation.
これでも一番無難だと思う。
In response to her question, the boy inside the bottle shrugged his shoulders and answered, From its perspective, the city and the mansion were no different. It seemed that having just moved from the countryside, everything was something he had never seen before.
自慢できることじゃないが、まだ書き物さえ満足にできないし、都会のルールは複雑すぎて、何が正しいのかさえ区別がつかない。
More than embarrassment, his voice was full of resentment. He was angry about something, but Alice could not tell what. But
だから、どこにいても危ないことに変わりはないんだ。極端な話、道を歩くだけでも、人と話すだけでも不安になる。俺は、どこでだろうとうまくやっていける保証はないんだよ。けど、ここにはそんな奴に気を使ってくれる人がいる。気遣ってくれる理由は物騒なものっぽいけど、それは本当に贅沢なことだと思うんだ。
her eyes welled up ever so slightly. Those soft words were something she could not brush off, because they made sense to her. Even everything in the city was a danger to him. Nothing had changed after coming to the mansion. In reality, he had no reason to fear this place in particular. If anything was different from the outside, it would be that someone here was an ally. With that view, he had been entirely sincere. His explanation hadn't contained any flattery towards Alice Koonji, nor pandering toward Ako Ozaki. He was simply speaking from the heart. I like it here.
今、鏡に迷い込まれるのは迷惑ね。鏡の機能は侵入者の探索に専念させたいし、彼が迷い込みそうになったら止めてあげて。
The bird shook its feathers at her strange instruction. Alice looked away from the mirror and continued her walk. The bird chirped in protest.
あなたの仕事よ、ロビン。それぐらいの役には立って。
Leaving the bird with the icy retort, she vanished into the west wing. All that remained was the moonlight, and the little blue bird, trembling at a perilous prospect of unprecedented change. Oh. Are you for real? Well, there you go. Chapter, I think that was chapter 5? No, that was chapter 6, I think. Hold on, let me see. Let's go to the archives. Chapter 6, wow. We're blazing through this game. Let's keep going. See what happens. Once long ago, I saw a beautiful bird fly overhead. Give me 1 second, please. Oh, hello everybody, my name is Markiplier. Alrighty. Once long ago, I saw a beautiful bird fly overhead. Round and round it circled the distant blue sky. How high it flew in this air when humans, not birds, reigned supreme. And yet the bird was completely uninterested in humanity's endless desire for expansion, our creation of even higher homes, or the smoke bellow for the industry's chimneys. It reminds me of like the Greatest Attorney, how like that era, the 1800s going into the 1900s, or better yet, probably like the early 1900s. It reminds me of this era. The sky extends further than the eye can see. It belongs to no one, not now. Not then. The bird was truly a noble creature, flapping its wings powerfully across the wild, ancient sky. And it is dead. Wow. Until the sudden sound of cold iron. A wing is shot, its symmetry gone forever. Cruel and tragic, its body plummets downwards. Not knowing its fate, the bird frantically beats its wings until the very end. One moment soaring with eyes to the sky, the next crashing down to the dry, hardened earth. This is the dream I saw. No matter how much I thought about it, its details remained clouded. What did the bird look like, for instance? It was a really dark dream. My goodness.
はい、今日の授業はここまで。試験範囲の総まとめなんかやっちゃいましたけど、これうちのクラスだけですから、よそのクラスには内密にお願いしますね。担任特権と思ってください。
It's already 140. I didn't even realize that.
ほら、原告の平均点ぐらいは学年一番にしておくと、皆さんも鼻が高いと思いまして。
Because you guys are cheaters, bro. Because you're not cheaters. You gave him an ice up their sleeve. Mr. Yamashiro chuckled as he finished. This was typical of the kind of teacher responsible for Year 2 Class C, the master at relaxing his pupils.
先生、口元に本音出てる。鼻を高くしたいのは私たちじゃないですよね。
Yes.
鼻っていうかメンツですよね。先生、里中先生に嫌味言われてばっかりだし。つうかはっきり言えばいいんすよ。お前ら頭悪すぎだって。いや、
いえいえ
Who cares?
テストの点数だけが学生生活ではありませんから、僕から言うべきことは何も。先生方もそこまで目くじら立ててるわけじゃないので、別にクラス全員が赤点でも僕の人生には何ら関わりはないんですけどね。しかし一方では一人厄介な御仁がおりまして、皆さんが選んだ全校生徒代表の方なんですが、これが恐ろしいのなんの。テストの点数が低いのは生徒ではなく教育する側が無能だからです。教育委員会への報告準備はいつでもできていますので、と日夜脅してくるんですよ。それでも生徒たちが治らないようなら、その時は直接私が監督しますとか、生徒としてどうなんですかね、あれ。
To be fair, what student does say that? That sounds more like a what's it called, a principal than an actual student. The warm atmosphere in the room suddenly fell below freezing. The students of Class C now knew who their true enemy was.
ああ、そっか。山城先生生徒会の顧問だったっけ。ナムナム。さすがは応援団を立ち直らせた女傑。教師一人退職に追い込むなど造作もね。やっぱりな、会長絶対年サバ読んでるって。あの迫力同年代と思えねえし。ほら、うちの女子と比べると特にこうおっぱい的に。
I forgot this is high school, because that's so weird, bro. Why are you staring at that?
先生、木の実だけでも A 組に引き取ってもらえませんか。そりゃ男子はみんな猿ですけど、こいつだけレベルの違う猿ですよ、絶対。
あれ、でも女子 A 組だけどあんまり成績良くねえよな。中の上ぐらいじゃなかったっけ。そうだけど別にいいんじゃない。塾も行ってないし、生徒会仕切ってたまにバイトまでしてるんだから。あれで学年トップだったら逆に気持ち悪すぎ
だよな。周囲は副会長に任せとけばいいんだよ。
まあまあ皆さん、噂話はそのあたりで。地獄耳という言葉もありますから。じゃあそれなりに復習をよろしく。あんまり点数が悪いと冬休みそのものがなくなりますからね。あ、それとしずきくん、ちょっといいですか。
Mr. Yamashiro gathered his things and beckoned for Soujyuro to join him in the hallway. There were no other students to be seen despite it being break time between classes. Voices were audible in the distance, but the hall itself was strangely calm and quiet and calm. Perhaps it was due to the sense of confinement created by the lack of windows. Usually students spent their breaks in either in their classrooms or on the veranda.
何ですか、山城先生。
いえ、そう大した用事じゃないんですけどね。試験前にこんな話をするのもデリカシーがないんですが、気になったので。どうだろう。試験前にこんな話をするのもデリカシーがないんですが、気になったので。どうだろう。学校には慣れたかな。
This is such a long pause. Though the level of concern from the teacher startled him, Soujyuro felt reassured. It was only natural. After having had to deal with such difficult personalities lately, Mr. Yamashiro's trivial questions were refreshing.
はい。学校の作りや決まりなら自分なりに分かってきました。友達も増えましたし。
そっか。それはよかった。うちのクラスは口の悪い面々だけど、その分気を使わなくていいからね。しずきくんと相性が良くて助かったよ。
Sojuro's eyes shone brightly in appreciation. In Ako's words, Mr. Yamashiro was a brutish, forgettable, downright detestable man who did not even deserve the title of teacher. Soujyuro found him considerate in his own way.
アルバイトもほどほどにね。試験前だって言えば、大抵のところは休ませてくれるから、あまり無理はしないように。また、試験で困ったことがあったら、周りに相談しなさい。一人で悩んでいても時間の無駄だよ。
With a wave of his hand, Mr. Yamashiro was gone. The pure-hearted Soujyuro gave him a solemn nod as if to say he accepted the advice of his so-called forgettable teacher and went back into his classroom. And then...
女のことで相談だ。
Wow, okay, that was a lot louder than I thought it would be. Soujyuro had not wasted a moment in putting Mr. Yamashiro's advice into practice.
そうらしい。難問にぶち当たっているんだ。深く考えてみて気づいたんだが、どうも自分は発想が貧困らしい。
Soujyuro averted his eyes out of shame over his lack of insight.
いや、豊かだと思ってたことがびっくりなんだけど。まあいい、こっち来い。
He came to the worst person possible, bro. You should have went to, what's it called? To, Toby Maru, there, that's his name. Shocked as he was, Kenobi grabbed Soujyuro by the shoulder and pulled him over to the wall. Kenobi handily burst out laughing when Soujyuro, with a straight face, had admitted his difficulty with girls, but he realized it was the first time Soujyuro had ever turned to him for advice. Soujyuro was always able to break down any task at his part-time job into bite-sized pieces, but he was clearly struggling with a different problem now. I'm gonna take this as a screenshot. I don't.
そうらしい。難問にぶち当たっているんだ。深く考えてみて気づいたんだが。
いや、豊
I guess I'm not gonna be able to. I'm lucky. This is gonna take some serious
で、
effort.
なんかやっちまったのか。いや。
これからやるのかもしれない。木の実、例えばの話、マッドベアにハリセンボンみたいな女の子が入ってきたとする。その子は俺が嫌いで、マッドベアから出て行ってほしいようなんだけど、俺はマッドベアを辞めるわけにはいかない。
Soujyuro explained that he could just quit his part-time job at the restaurant. He needed the money. Kenobi grunted a few times to indicate he was still following Sojuro's story.
つまりその女を追い出したいと。
逆だ。なんとか認めてもらいたい。
Don't worry about the title. Don't worry about it. No more people.
隠していたけど、俺はその女の子が嫌いというわけじゃなくて。
Thank you. One of my friends put me on. Soujyuro furrowed his brow. Kenomi could not help but laugh at his friend's lack of manly resolve in his answer. Girls are the one area where Hosuke's skills and experience were triple to those of Soujyuro. That is a lie.
なんだよ、要はナンパかよ。むしろ仲良くなりたいってわけ？
Soujyuro wasn't sure how to respond. He nodded slowly without really understanding the implication of what Kenomi had said.
けどどうすればいいのかわからない。そもそもどうやって同い年の女の子と仲良く話ができるんだ。
クラスの女どもとは話してんじゃん。あれでいいんだっつの。俺は羨ましいっつの。持ち前の天然系で押してけばいいべ。山育ちってのは希少なアイデンティティだと思うぜ。珍しいものは生かさないでさ。
そうかな。珍しいというのはあんまりいいことじゃない気がする。だいたいそもそも嫌われている場合はどうすればいいんだ。クラスのみんなは親切だけど相手はハリセンボンだ。いや、この際ハリネズミでもいい。
そういう場合はめげなきゃいいんだよ。相手が折れるのを待つって寸法だな。トゲだけに。
Soujyuro's brow sunk deeper still.
この例え話はダメだ。
He needed more concrete material to work with.
ばっか。女なんてのは機嫌を取ってればいいんだよ。
Yeah, you gotta put the work in to get the you gotta put the work in to make it work out.
まずは女の趣味とか大事にしてるもんとか聞いて、そこをフォローすればいい。自分の都合より相手の都合だ。まずは外堀から攻めろってことだな。
外堀？外回りか。
もち。その後はまあ結局はこれが一番効果的なんだけどな。袖の下ってやつ？プレゼントで釣れ。そん時の需要と供給さえ合えば嫌われてても受け取ってもらえる。受け取らせちまえばあとはそれが義理になるってもんだ。
Kenomi then proclaimed with an odd sense of pride that this approach has resulted in only failure for him.
けど問題がある木の実。確かにご飯とかそういうのをおごってもらうと嬉しいけど、
そんな金はないってんだろ。分かってる分かってる。仕方ないね。そういうしずきくんのために一丁割のいいバイトを紹介してやろうじゃねえのよ。
Start trapping. Trap out the mansion. They slip from the side of the classroom deeper to one corner. Two in front of the lockers where no one ever stayed for long. It would be days before Soujyuro realized the suggestion he was receiving was of the illegitimate kind, the kind he should not have shared with anyone. So he shared it with who? I wonder who he shared it with. That night, dinner at the mansion was a feast of bread. Soft slices lay stacked in the center of the table, surrounded by variously colored jams. In a bowl was salad, mainly lettuce, with a small plate of unevenly cut ham. Soujyuro may have had no frame of reference for what an average family dinner should be, but you could tell this is most certainly not normal. In truth, it was first-rate case of laziness.
チョコのペースト切れたままじゃん。アリス、新しいの買っておいてって言わなかった？
今日は一日部屋にこもっていたから。第一、チョコレートを食べるのはあなただけよ。自分のものは自分で調達をするべきね。
For these two girls, however, this dinner seemed to be completely normal. They had a system of irregularly taking turns being in charge of meals. And tonight was Alice's turn. Normally she would spend a little time and effort, using as little time and effort as possible, only chewing applying herself when there was something to celebrate. Of course, Soujyuro was none the wiser to Alice's unique approach to food preparation. For him, it was a plain, lackluster meal. And when it came to dinner, not saying anything to each other was another staple of their meals. Sounds of cutlery, the scraping of chairs, and the tick-tock of the clock were the only things to be heard in the sunroom. Soujyuro himself had already eaten. At this moment he was watching the goings-on from the drawing room.
Soujyuro, 9時からアルバイトでしょ？行ってらっしゃい。私たちのことは気にしないでいいから。
ああ、じゃあ行ってくる。
Soujyuro donned his coat with a goodbye and a nod. Soujyuro glanced at the sunroom. He momentarily left eyes to Alice. Or so he imagined. She had been ignoring him all day. And not just refusing to talk to him, she had been avoiding him so much so as to not look at him all day until this very moment. He could understand if he was annoying her as the outsider in the mansion, but he felt no animosity in her gaze just now.
今の様子を見てたのかな。
Soujyuro looked nervously at his surroundings for a moment before heading to the foyer. Alice only let her gaze return to normal when she was completely sure he was gone.
ああ、めんどくさ。
Aoko was appalled by Alice's brazen display. So much so her immaculate veneer of apathy crumbled.
何？献立に不満でもあるの？青子。
もちろんあるけど、いつものことだし慣れてるわよ。私が呆れてるのはあんたの意地の悪さの方。徹底的に無視してるくせに相手の反応を伺ってるなんてめめしくない？罠張って待ち受けるようなもんじゃない。
彼の反応なんて探ってないわ。そもそも興味がないもの。それと今のは差別発言ね。めめしいという表現は女性軽視に過ぎるわ。
It does reek of sexism, and the fact that she's saying this in the 80s is even more prevalent. Like, that's crazy.
今の場合ならあなたは矛盾していると言ってちょうだい。
うわ、自覚ありときた。
Choosing not to rise to her roommate's jibe, Alice resumed eating. Aoko tore off pieces of bread and ate them one by one, anger still visible on her face.
じゃあここからは青崎青子としてじゃなく共犯者としての質問ね。アリス的に彼を見逃していいと思える判断材料はない？ありえないけど、実は彼も魔術師でしたなんてオチであったとしても、ここに住まわせるのは容認できない？
その理由なら認めるわ。彼を許すのではなく、そんなことに気づかなかった私たちへのペナルティとして。そうね。今のは絶対にありえない話だけど、それと同じに絶対の結論もまたないわ。
Okay, just had to see what time we're looking at.
彼がここに住む選択を飲む場合すらあるかもしれない。気の迷いは私にだってあるのだし。
ええ、そういうことよ。今は私との義理とかプライドで冷静を保ってるあんただけど、あいつの努力次第で少しは。
それは諦めて。彼が何をしようと無駄だから。あなたも知っていると思うけど。
Alice had never been the type to let her guard down around others. The young witch despised humans, having recreated so many of their objects in fairy tales.
そんなのあんた個人のトラウマでしょ。自分の意固地さを魔女の血統云々で棚上げするのはそれこそめめしいわ。いいじゃない、嫌いなら嫌いではっきりしてれば。私が気に食わないのはね、あんたのどっちつかずの態度よ、アリス。
どっちつかずの態度？
そう、無視するなら徹底して無視してやれって言ってるの。ガチガチに守りを固めて、そのくせ城門だけ開けて、獲物が油断して入ってきたら串刺しにする気満々とか、相棒として見てられないわ。あいつにできることなんて閉ざされた門を開けることぐらいだっていうのに、その機会さえなくすのはどうなの？
ごめんなさい、青子。もう少し簡単に言って。
I understand what she's saying, but the poor girl doesn't understand.
その例えはちょっ
Alice seemed unable to grasp Alco's metaphor. Meanwhile, Alco had had it up to here with her roommate's lack of self-awareness and was starting to lose her cool.
だから興味ないとか言っておきながら粉かけるなってこと。あんなにチラチラ盗み見たらあいつ変に勘違いしちゃうかもしれないでしょ。アリスはああ見えて本当は自分と仲直りしたがっているに違いない。じゃあ早速部屋に押しかけてみようとか。
That was not what he was thinking.
と。そういうことになるの？
なる。少なくとも私だったらいい加減イライラして話があるなら校舎裏まで来いって決着つけかねないレベル。この毒。
So mean.
そうだったのね。気をつけるわ。別に彼と話をする気はないんだし、私も彼を見ていたというより彼の手足を見てい
Oh
たの
wow,
だ
you
し。
looked at his appendages.
手足ってなんで？
手足は手足よ。彼個人には思うところはないけど、あの夜の出来事はまだ記憶に新しいから。それが少しだけ気になってつい視線で追っていたのね。
あの夜って遊園地のこと？なんかしたっけあいつ。
Alice's expression soured. He still felt this thing of
飛
her
んだで
defeat.
しょ彼。レールの上から私のダンプティーに向かって。
ええ、そんなこと言ってたわね。勢いでつい1メートルぐらいだから飛んじゃったとか。
Akko had not actually seen it in person, luckily. All she knew was that the spell she had placed on Soujyuro was part of the reason he survived that jump of death. Alice, on the other hand, had observed the whole scene from the clock tower. That's funny, I forgot about that. It had only lasted an instant, but it had burned itself into her mind's eye, more than when her precious Buddha fell into Alco's hands. And which flat snark had come tumbling down.
でもそれがどうしたの？卵の敵討ちってわけ？
ダンプティーは壊れるのが仕事だから敵討ちも何もないわ。ただ人間の体ってあんな風に動くんだなって。
As it goes, with someone with as little human interaction as Alice, Soujyuro's sleep must have appeared quite remarkable. Particularly because his legs were orders of magnitude less capable than those of an animal in the forest. And yet even with such feeble legs, with those meek arms of his, he managed to fly through the open air like a bird. To her it was akin to to the feeling city folk get when they see a wild creature in its natural habitat.
気にしないで。機会があるならもう一度見たいと思っただけ。別に彼に何を期待しているわけじゃないわ。
なるほど。アリスのプロイって大体が人型じゃないしね。単に物珍しさで見ていただけか。
Akko sighed and released the tension from her shoulders. She was disappointed to discover that Alice's behavior stemmed from simple curiosity, like that of a child with a new toy. Alice was in no position to take issue with her reaction. Now could she? She was not entirely sure what it was that she herself was feeling.
夕食、明日は私が作るから。試験前だってのに、こんなしょぼくれたもん食べさせられたら、一夜漬けする気合も湧かないわよ。
ご自由に。私も手が空いて助かるわ。
Night came and went in the mansion. For better or worse, the disturbances caused by the foreign invader had not yet caused the kettle to boil over. Alright, let me see, what time is it? So what, like 1:20 or something? Yeah, 1:22. Yeah, let me stop here for tonight. There you go. Not a long one tonight, but it's also because it's late, so sorry about that. But yeah, you know, we're here. We're back at it. You can see my backdrop, whatever. But yeah, thank you all for watching as always, and I'll see you all in the next stream or in the next video whenever that happens. But yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Peace.